Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Rottama Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 23, Verse 13. Eh, In due course of time, when Prthu Maharaj was to give up his body, he fixed his mind firmly upon the lotus feet of Krishna. And thus, completely situated on the Brahma Bhuta platform, he gave up the material body. According to a Bengali proverb, whatever spiritual progress one makes in life will be tested at the time of death. यम्यं वापि स्मरन् भावं त्यजत्यन्ते कलेवरं तं तमेवैति कौन्तेय सदा तद्भाव भाविताः. Those who are practicing Krishna consciousness know that their examination will be held at the time of death. If one can remember Krishna at death, he is immediately transferred to Goloka Vrindavana or Krishna Loka, and thus his life becomes successful. Prthu Maharaj, by the grace of Krishna, could understand that the end of his life was near, and thus he became very jubilant and proceeded to completely give up his body on the Brahmabhuta stage by practicing the yogic process. It is thoroughly described in the following verses how one can voluntarily give up his body and return back home. In the yogic process practiced by Prthu Maharaj at the time of death accelerates the giving up of this body while one is in sound health physically and mentally. Every devotee desires to give up the body while it is sound physically and mentally. Kulashekara. Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam Adhyaiva Me Vishatu Manasa Rajahamsa Prana Prayana Samaye Kapavata Pittai Kantavarodhana Vidhau Smaranam Kutaste. King Kulashekar wanted to give up his body while in a healthy state and thus prayed to Krishna to let him die immediately while he was in a good health and while his mind was sound. When a man dies, he is generally overpowered by mucus and bile and thus he chokes. Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam. Eh, The It's like the net of the lotus feet, like lotus stems all get intertwined. uh, so Kulashekar Alvar is praying, let my mind get stuck there, fixed there, Adhyaiva, right now. Hmm. My Manasa, Rajahamsa, like a Hamsa. Like let my mind, may Vishatu, let my mind get fixed there, right now. Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja. Why prana prayana samaye kapha vata pitta. There is kapha, vata, pitta, everything increases in the body. Mm. Prana prayana samay, meaning the time of taking up the further journey. Kantha varodhana. Kantha varodhana. It's very difficult to make any sound. Prabhupada says, gur, 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 sound will come. Choking. Smaranam kutaste. How can I remember you? So Kulshekar Alvar is saying that take me now. So are we ready? That is the question. Are we ready to give up our body? Mm. So can we take this final exam directly? Okay, some discussion we will do about this. About how should we, what is this final exam? How should we prepare for the final exam? How should we prepare for this exam? Anybody? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I think test of whether we will be able to remember Lord after the karmi, passionate life at the time of death, maybe.
No, my question is how do we prepare for this? How do we prepare?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Always
Hare Krishna.
serving to the Lord and chanting for the Lord.
Always serving, chanting, okay.
Serving
Okay.
Hare Krishna
Al
Padani.
Okay.
always
Serving Krishna
remembering him
Parayana.
in any situation.
Ah, okay, good. Okay. Always remembering him in any situation. What situation will we remember him?
Any situation, Prabhu, like good, bad, pain,
Good,
happiness.
bad, good. How many of us remember Krishna when things are all going fine? Everything is going fine, just the way we want. In fact, even better than what we want. Hmm?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hmm.
By doing serious and sincere bhakti.
Yeah, okay. Serious and sincere bhakti. How many of us are okay with having problems in life? Anybody here who is happy with problems in life?
No, Prabhu, only Kunti Maharaj said, forgive me problems and I'll always remember you. So when we
Hmm.
are in miseries only, we remember the Lord more than when we are in the mode of happiness and passion.
Yeah. So, but then when misery comes, then what do we pray to Krishna?
When misery comes, we do not depend on Krishna. We don't surrender to him.
No,
Usually,
we pray to Krishna saying that take away my
take
misery.
but
We say take away my misery,
misery,
or we will pray saying that I don't want
what
misery in my
miseries.
life. I want comfortable life.
Yes,
I want everything to happen the
my
way
way, my
I
way.
desire, or you know. So the thing is, the point I'm trying to make here is that we can't take the final exam directly, isn't it? Every child who goes to school, before he answers the final exam, what do teachers give him during the whole year?
Test, Prabhuji.
He's given tests,
Unit
smaller
test.
tests, right? Smaller tests, so that the whole idea is okay. Can you study whatever and write, so that then you can write confidently the time of exam. So we should remember that the difficulties in our life are these tests. Now, if you don't want these tests, just imagine how difficult it is to take the final exam directly. It is going to be very difficult because we are not practiced, we are not prepared. Hmm? So we should not detest miseries in life, difficulties. We should not run away. We should not go to Krishna and say, Krishna, please take me out of this. We have to just see everything in our life as a test. And it could be good, bad, ugly. It could be easy sometimes, it could be very difficult, it could be very difficult. But please remember that these are tests. And we have to somehow learn to pass these tests. We might struggle. We might struggle through the test. But it's not that we go to the teacher and say, teacher, I'm very tensed, I'm worried. Please don't give me test. That we should not do. Okay. So let's not pray to Krishna to end any kind of misery that we might have. Because Krishna knows. Krishna is giving that so that we can be well prepared. Krishna is preparing us through those tests. Yesterday also I was talking to a devotee, feeling very, very low, saying that, so many challenges, I don't get any support from my husband, is that. I'm saying, Mataji, why you are, it's a blessing. Krishna is preparing you, right? So when we have difficulties and if there are continuously, our problem is when there are if there is little difficulty, goes away, then okay, we are okay. There's too much of difficulty, then we keep praying to Krishna, saying that Krishna, please stop this test, stop this test. But Krishna is saying, I'm training you, I'm training you. He's saying, no, 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 I don't want any more training. This is enough. And Krishna is always there with us, even in our tests and even final exam also. He's always there with us. So we should always remember this. And yeah, again, I mean, whenever we say of things like this, the answer we get is, yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, but then what happens actually when, if suppose, if your karma phala is so difficult that even after repeatedly trying, you're not able to overcome any specific problem in life, what will happen? And then people lose faith in Krishna. People become discouraged. Devotees become discouraged. But why all that? I mean, we are taking something which is supposed to be seen favorably. That is, difficulty is supposed to be, we are supposed to see it favorably as Krishna's training. But instead, we end up losing faith in Krishna only. So we have to see life's problems differently. Please remember, this final exam is not going to be easy, right? Otherwise, great king Kulashekar, why would he be worried about death? He would have killed so many people on battlefield. We've seen so much death. Death is like common, eating, sleeping types for kings. But still he's saying, no, no, it will be difficult. It will be difficult. How will I remember you? Body will be in miserable condition. Hmm. So he's praying, I want to give it up now. Hmm. Really, we have to question for ourselves. Hmm. Saying, are we really ready? Hmm. Are we ready? And giving up life is not negative, no? He became jubilant. Where is that? Prthu Maharaj became jubilant. Jubilant, happy. Yes, okay. I'm going to go to Krishna now. So giving up the body means, we should not, what picture comes to our mind? Oh, sad, somebody crying. No. Happy, jumping up and down, saying, yes, okay, Krishna will take me when my mind is in a good state. He will take me. So that I can do this. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. I can remember Krishna. Are we ready? We have so many attachments. But then when will we be ready? Okay, if the answer is we're not ready now, question is when will we be ready? Anytime, this life, next life, millions of lives. You have to think about it. When Maharaja Prthu practiced a particular yogic sitting posture, he blocked the door of his anus with his ankles, pressed his right and left calves, and gradually raised his life air upward, passing it onto the circle of his navel, up to his heart and throat, and finally pushed it upward to the central position between his two eyebrows. Muktasana, this is. Anyway, we don't have to worry about all this. So Prabhupada is saying here, generally yogis leave their bodies to go to higher planetary systems and enjoy material facilities. However, intelligent yogi, yogi nam api sarvesham madgate nantaratmanam, which are devotees, They do not wish to waste their time within this material world. They do not care for material facilities in higher planetary system, but are interested in going directly to the spiritual sky. Krishna Loka. Prthu Maharaj did not have any desire to promote himself to higher planetary systems. He wanted to go back. So all the Prthu Maharaj had stopped all mystic yoga. Like we read that in the previous verses. But now he took advantage of some practice, previous practice, which is okay. We don't have to newly start this. So Prabhupada is saying the aim of this particular system of asana, muktasana, is to attain success in Kundalini chakra and gradually raise the life air prana from Mooladhara to Swadhisthana, then to Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha, and finally Agna. Chakra. So these are all chakras in our body. You know. When the yogi reaches the Agna chakra between the two eyebrows, he is able to penetrate the Brahmarandhra or hole in his skull and go to any planet he desires up to the spiritual kingdom of Vaikuntha. So yogi can even go here, but so foolish. Most yogis end up going to some higher planetary systems. The conclusion is that one has to come to the Brahmabhuta stage for going back to Godhead. So just imagine if suppose say we continue to remain attached to Aham and Mama. How will we come to Brahmabhuta? However, those who are in Krishna consciousness can return to Godhead without even practicing the Muktasana. Purpose of Muktasana is to come to Brahmabhuta. For one, without coming to Brahmabhuta, one cannot be promoted. Bhakti Yogi is always situated on the Brahmabhuta. Brahmabhuyaya kalpate. Why? How? Mamcha yo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Undeviated devotional service all the time. 24 hours. If you are engaged like this, then we are already on the Brahmabhuta platform. He enters the spiritual sky. Automatically. After that, and returns to Godhead. That's all. Consequently, devotee need not feel sorry for not having practiced Kundalini chakra, penetrating the 6 chakras one after another. And of course, Prthu Maharaj had practiced it, so he took advantage of that chakra process. But for devotees, we don't need. We have to simply follow this verse. That's all. 14.26 Bhagavad Gita. In this way, Prthu Maharaj gradually raised his air of life up to the hole in his skull, whereupon he lost all desire for material existence. Gradually merged his air of life with the totality of air, his body with the totality of earth, and the fire within his body with the totality of fire. Okay, so this is the reverse process of material creation. This is the destroying process. More important for us, apart from the physical process that is happening. This automatically happens for devotees. We don't have to worry about this. He lost all desire for material existence. This is the idea, saying that, okay, we are not attached to anything else. We are ready to go to Krishna and serve him. That is the whole idea. When a living entity gives up material coverings, he remains a spirit soul. We have to give up these material coverings, attachments. Yeah. So that's the important thing. Because otherwise, those who go to Brahma Jyoti, they also fall down to do material activities to enjoy material varieties. But one who has experienced spiritual bliss, he doesn't want all this. So he gives up. No desire for material, anything material. No desire to exist materially. See, please understand, no desire for material existence is not negative. Again, I'm highlighting that if we just look at the statement saying that, oh, I don't have any desire to live, this is a very negative, bodily conception of life statement. Yeah, I don't desire to live in this material body because this material body restricts me from serving Krishna. So yes, okay, if I'm going to get spiritual body and then go to Krishna and serve him, yeah, I'm happy. But we should be happy to serve in whatever whatever situation we are in. In this way, according to the different positions of the various parts of the body, Prthu Maharaj merged the wholes of his senses with the sky, body liquids, such as blood and various secretions with the totality of water, and he merged earth with water, then water with fire, fire with air, air with sky, and so on. This is the reversal process. Yeah, major to speak. He amalgamated the mind with the senses and senses with the sense objects according to their respective positions. Amalgamated the material ego with the Mahatattva. So everything starts from Mahatattva, then everything goes back to Mahatattva. And then the Atma is released. Atma has developed a spiritual body, then it's released and it goes to Vaikuntha. It goes to Goloka. That's all. Reverse, this is the merging process. When the mind is completely washed of all material contamination, pure consciousness acts. The sound vibration from the spiritual sky can automatically cleanse all material contaminations. Sound vibration from spiritual sky. What is the sound vibration from spiritual sky? What does this mean? Sound vibration from spiritual sky. Hari Hari Vifale Janama Gvainu Manusha Janama Paya Radha Krishna Nabhajiya Janiya Shuniya Vishakainu Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana Rathina Janmile Kinotai Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. So this Hare Krishna mantra is the sound from the spiritual sky. It will cleanse the mind of all material contamination. As soon as the whole material contamination is washed away by this process of chanting, all desires and reactions to material activities become immediately vanquished. All desires and reactions will become vanquished. So when we become completely pure, when we come to the stage of chanting in even Nama Bhasa, liberation happens. So simply chanting process. Prthu Maharaj then offered the total designation of the living entity into the Supreme Controller. Okay. Yeah, in this way, being constituted in his original constitutional position of Krishna consciousness, he gave up his body as a Prabhu or controller of senses. So he went through a mechanical process. So we have to become Prabhu. Actually, we have to become master of senses. This means that he was no longer controlled by the influence of material energy. When one is strong enough to give up the influence of material energy, he is called Prabhu. In this verse, the word Swarupastha is also very significant. The real identity of the individual soul lies in understanding or attaining the knowledge that he is an eternal servant of Krishna. This understanding is called Swarupa Upalabdhi. Swarupa Upalabdhi. Swarupa Upalabdhi. By culturing devotional service, the devotee gradually comes to understand his actual relationship with Supreme Person of Godhead. This understanding of one's pure spiritual position is called Swarupa Upalabdhi. And when one attains that stage, he can understand how he is related with the Supreme Lord or Swarupa Siddhi. As a servant or friend or as a parent or conjugal lover. Prthu Maharaj realized this Swarupa completely, and it will be clear in the later verses that he personally left this world or this body by riding on a chariot sent from Vaikuntha. When one is completely self-realized and acts according to that person, he can be called Prabhu. The spiritual master is addressed as Prabhupada because he is completely self-realized soul. Pada means position. Prabhupada indicates that he is given the position of Prabhu or the Supreme Person of Godhead, for he acts on behalf of the Supreme Person of Godhead. Unless one is a Prabhu, he cannot act as a spiritual master. Vacho vegam manasakrodha vegam. Sakshad haritvena samasta shastrair uktastatha bhavyate eva sadbihi. Spiritual master is honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he is the most confidential servitor of the Lord. One question might be asked. Since Prthu Maharaj was a power incarnation, Shaktavesha Avatara, why did he have to execute regulatory principles in order to become a Prabhu? Because he appeared on this earth as an ideal king, and because it is the duty of the king to instruct citizens in the execution of devotional service, he followed the regulatory principles. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself taught us how to approach Krishna as a devotee. Apani achari bhakti shikhainu sabare. He instructed others in the process of devotional service by setting the example himself through his own personal actions. So this is very, very important. Leaders have to set the example by action, not by just speaking. We have to do it and then others will do. If you are just simply sitting and talking, then people will think, "Arey, what is this? He doesn't do anything. He's just simply sitting and talking." This is one of the most important things actually for preachers, especially if we are running centers, sadhans, etc. This is very, very important. Similarly, Prthu Maharaj still behaved exactly as a devotee in order to achieve the position of Prabhu. Hmm. When a living entity abandons the activities of Maya and attains the position from which he can execute devotional service, his state is called Swarupastha, complete liberation. One liberation is just going beyond material miseries or understanding that I am not this body. Actual full liberation is this Swarupa Siddhi. Very nice. The queen, the wife of Prthu Maharaj, whose name was Archi, followed her husband into the forest. Since she was a queen, her body was very delicate. Although she did not deserve to live in the forest, she voluntarily touched her lotus feet to the ground. Since Prthu Maharaj's wife was the queen and also daughter of the king, she never experienced walking on the ground, for queens used to never come out of the palace. They certainly never went to forests and tolerated all difficulties of living in the wilderness. The goddess of fortune, Mother Sita, followed her husband Ramachandra when he went to the forest. Ramachandra went to the forest in compliance with the order of his father, but Mother Sita was not so ordered. Nonetheless, she voluntarily accepted the path of her husband. Similarly, Gandhari also followed her husband into the forest. Being the wives of great personalities like Prthu, Lord Ramchandra, Dhritarashtra, these were ideal, chaste women. Such queens also instructed the general people by showing them how to become a chaste wife and follow the husband in every stage of life. When the husband is king, she sits beside him as a queen, and when he goes to the forest, she also follows, despite having to tolerate all kinds of difficulties in living in the forest. Therefore, it is said here that although she did not want to touch her feet to the ground, she nonetheless accepted all difficulties when she went to the forest with her husband. Very, very good instruction for Mataji. Although she was not accustomed to such difficulties, she followed her husband in the regulative principles of living in the forest like great sages. She lay down on the ground and ate only fruits, flowers, and leaves, and because she was not fit for these activities, she became frail and thin. Yet because of the pleasure she derived in serving her husband, she did not feel any difficulties. Oh, so difficult. So difficult, isn't it? Nowadays, who derives pleasure by serving husbands? Mm, it's the last thing, right? So these kind of verses actually they just bewilder. Bhartur vrata dharma nishtaya. Vrata dharma, bhartur, towards husband. Vrata dharma nishtaya must be fixed in service to husband. In Vedic civilization, a man is taught from the beginning of his life to become brahmachari, ideal grahastha, then vanaprastha, then sannyasi. And the wife is taught just to follow the husband strictly in all conditions of life. This is Tri Dharma. This is Purusha Dharma. After the period of brahmacharya, man accepts a householder's life, and the woman is also taught by her parents to be a chaste wife. Chaste wife means it starts with giving, of course, considering the husband is qualified, starts with first giving respect, then humbly serving. Thus, when a girl and boy are united, both are trained for a life dedicated to a higher purpose. The boy is trained to execute his duty in accordance with the higher purpose of life, and the girl is trained to follow him. Simple. Simple. Nowadays, everybody wants to maintain their own independence. And most devotees, I tell, if Prabhu is initiated, I generally advise Mataji also to be initiated from that same Guru. Means we don't have to become independent. We don't have to become independent. The chaste wife's duty is to keep her husband pleased in householder life in all respects. And when the husband retires from family life, he is to go to the forest and adopt the life of Vanaprastha or Vanavasi. Actually, nowadays, when Srila Prabhupada was present on this earth, and then sometimes some Mantaris, they wanted to go for book distribution, neglecting their, household duties. Prabhupada used to be very upset. Prabhupada used to say that, you have to first do your duty towards your husband, children. That is most important. And then other things, devotional service. Or he used to say, then you make arrangements. If suppose say sometime you want to go somewhere, you make arrangements. Don't neglect. Don't neglect your responsibility. Vanaprastha, at that time the wife is to follow her husband and take care of him. And that's the reason wife is normally younger to the husband, because there'll be more energy, etc., till the husband dies. But when the husband takes the renounced order of life, namely sannyas, the wife is to return home and become a saintly woman, setting an example for her children and daughters-in-law and showing them how to live a life of austerity. So very clearly outlined, clearly. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, his wife Vishnupriya Devi, although only 16 years old, also took the vow of austerity due to her husband's leaving home. She chanted her beads, and after finishing one round, she collected 1 grain of rice. In this way, as many rounds as she chanted, she would receive the same number of rice grains and then cook them and so take prasada. This is called austerity. Since a woman's body is considerably more delicate than a man's, Queen Archie became very frail and thin. Parikarshita. When one engages in austerities, his body generally becomes lean and thin. Becoming fat is not a very good qualification in spiritual life, because a person who is engaged in spiritual life must reduce the comforts of the body to a minimum. Although Queen Archie became very thin from living in the forest according to regulative principle, she was not unhappy, for she was enjoying the honor of serving her great husband. It's just such amazing statements. Please note, becoming fat is not a very good qualification in spiritual life. And for wives who are serving their husbands, don't be unhappy. This is part of our dharma. Of course, Prabhupada says that if in some cases, somebody is like really against bhakti, like, then, maybe consideration of leaving or something. But there's so many difficulties in material life for, so many times women who, part from their husbands, etc., due to whatever, some misunderstanding or some lack of compatibility, etc., they end up facing so many other challenges throughout their life. So these things are all, system given that, the women should be under the protection of father, husband, and son. Is with, there is a lot of sense behind that instruction, right? So, but unfortunately, today everybody wants to act whimsically and creates a lot of problems, a lot of challenges. When Archie saw that her husband, who had been so merciful to her and the earth, no longer showed symptoms of life, she lamented for a little while, not long, built a fiery pyre on top of a hill and placed the body of her husband on it. Um, okay. And then she executed the necessary funerary functions and offered oblations of water. After bathing in the river, she offered obeisances to various demigods situated in the sky in different planetary systems. She then circumambulated the fire and, while thinking of the lotus feet of her husband, entered the fire. This is the attachment that is expected in a chaste wife. It's known as Sahagamana, dying with the husband. Of course, this was a voluntary practice. But soon it degraded to the point that even when the wife was not strong enough to enter the fire of her dead husband, relatives would force her to enter. This was voluntary. So when this happened, they abolished this. After observing this brave act performed by the chaste wife Archie, the wife of the great king Prthu, many thousands of the wives of the demigods, along with their husbands, offered prayers to the queen, for they were very much satisfied. At the time, the demigods were situated on top of Mandara hill, and all their wives began to shower flowers on the funeral pyre and began to talk amongst themselves as follows. The wives of the demigod said, "All glories to Queen Archie. We can see that this queen of the great King Pruthu, the emperor of all the kings of the world, has served her husband with mind, speech, and body exactly as the goddess of fortune serves Supreme Personality of Godhead Ganesha or Vishnu." The wives of the demigods continued. Just see how this chaste lady, Archie, by dint of her inconceivable pious activities, is still following her husband upward as far as we can see. So Maharaja Pruthu was going in an aeroplane, and the airplane carrying Queen Archie were passing out of the vision. So two airplanes. Mm. So these ladies were astonished to see how Pruthu and his wife achieved in such an exalted position. Although they were wives of denizens of higher planetary system, and Prthu Maharaj was an inhabitant of earth, the king, along with his wife, passed beyond the realms of the demigods and went upward to Vaikuntha. Mm. This also indicates that when Prthu Maharaj and his wife abandoned their material bodies in the material fire, they immediately developed their spiritual bodies and entered into spiritual planes, airplanes, which could penetrate the material elements and reach the spiritual sky. The ladies in the higher planetary systems were capable of seeing both downward and upward. When they looked down, they could see that the body of Prthu was being burned and that his wife was entering into the fire. And when they looked upward, they could see how they were being carried into airplanes to Vaikuntha Lokas. A woman does not need to attain high qualifications, but if she simply follows in the footsteps of her husband, who must be a devotee, then both husband and wife attain liberation and are promoted to the Vaikuntha planets. Simple instruction. Simple instruction. If you want to accept it, then we can achieve perfection much easier. In this material world, every human being has a short span of life, but those who are engaged in devotional service go back home, back to Godhead, for they are actually on the path of liberation. For such persons, there is nothing which is not available. Any more verses? Oh. 31. Okay, one okay, required. So many. 3, 34. Okay, one more day. Okay, let me stop here. I thought I'll complete. Okay, 27. Yeah, we're engaged in devotional service. Go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, we'll stop here. I'm stopping at 26. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu, during, like we say, okay, we shouldn't be asking from the Lord. But now when you're in a difficult situation, you need to speak. Sometimes you say, no, you need to speak out, speak to somebody. In the material world, if you speak to somebody, you're either provoked or, made fun of. Now when you know the Lord is the supreme, and what why should we not talk to him and tell him, of course he knows what problems we have, but doesn't that talking to him release some of the tensions? Or
Yeah, we can do. We can talk. There's no issue. We can talk. But the question is saying that is, yeah, we are in that state right now where we want to talk, we want to release our tension,
yes.
frustration, blah blah. We can do that, but it's not the top, it's not the highest platform. That's all. Of course, many devotees do that. It's okay. It's okay, but topmost devotees, they don't want to do all this. Mm, they know. I mean, why am I bothering Krishna with all this? So they'll simply engage in service and not bother.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hmm.
See, this being a common problem, the devotees are doing, topmost devotees are doing one way and other devotees are doing the other way, as you said.
No. Topmost devotees, everybody has to become topmost. When
Mhm.
devotees are not topmost, they will follow something else which is lower. That's all. And then our aim has to be see the topmost and then work towards that.
Exactly, Prabhu. So now my question is on the similar lines. So what I didn't wanted to understand is what topmost devotees will do.
Topmost devotees are there all the time. They are engaged in service of the Lord. They're always looking to please the Lord. They're not attached materially. They are above any material affection, but they still do their duties if they're in appropriate ashramas. But their whole focus in life is to please Krishna. Then they are not bothered if they are in difficulties. They will still continue to serve Krishna. So basically, 24 hours devotional service is the first qualification of a pure devotee, highest platform devotee. Then he also generally in our movement he also preaches. Such a devotee will also preach, bring other people into Krishna consciousness, and he will not be too much affected by material situation. He is not much bothered. That's a pure devotee. In brief.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam Prabhuji, if you have time, just 2 minutes, Ajay.
Yeah, Mataji.
In continuation of Mataji's question, we talk to Lord and like that. Is it like, Prabhuji, is it proper like we tell Lord that I am in such and such situation due to my own past bad karma, and please give me strength to tolerate and do your bhakti? Is
Yeah,
that okay?
yeah, fine.
Mhm. Okay, Krishna.
Yeah,
Because we need strength, otherwise, if the material situation is bad, we go
yeah,
down
we can. Yes,
spiritually also.
yeah, we can pray for strength all the time. See,
Yes,
anything
yes.
which is
And
in connection with the devotion service, we can pray. There is, I mean, it is actual desirelessness is to desire to achieve Krishna, and that's what we are trying to do when we are chanting Hare Krishna every day. We are praying, saying that give me pure devotional service, meaning give me the strength to deal with all this material miseries so that I can remain fixed in your devotion. That's
yes,
okay.
and we should take care, we should not ask Lord to mitigate our suffering
Yeah,
because
we
let
should
us
not
suffer.
say, yeah, take me out of this problem, Krishna. That is the reason these prayers,
Right, right.
we become very emotional. Then we'll say, Krishna, I'm so weak, why don't you just solve my problems? You know,
Right.
so we have to be careful. We have to be careful. We can just pray for strength or
It is a transition, Prabhuji. Like first we
yeah.
do like that.
Yeah, and better than that is to just pray for service, saying that just give me more service, let me engage more in your devotion, right? But yeah, we can pray for strength, absolutely. There's no. There is no issue.
Okay. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. So, Shashank Prabhu, why Prthu Maharaj and Attivasadi carried away in different airplanes, even though they were ideal husband and wife, and in Shastra, wife is said Ardhangi. That is all material. It's all material. This Ardhangi and all is all material responsibility. That's all. We are all individual souls. We come alone, we will go alone. If Lord desires, then I mean, it's not that if you are husband and wife here, you will go and become husband and wife in the spiritual world, right? So why do you have to go with somebody else? Somebody else. After death, we are somebody, they are somebody. That's all. Baba, what is this? Basic understanding. Spiritual world, there is no sense of this husband, wife, everybody is servant of Krishna. Right? And especially in Goloka Vrindavan, the thing is, if both, for whatever reason, Swarupa Sthiti of husband and wife is Gopi, then they can't go as husband and wife, right? Or Gopala for that matter, right? Or a cow for that matter. One wants to be cow, another wants to be water, or whatever, right? I mean, or that is their Swarupa Sthiti, then they'll not go and husband and wife, right? Okay. Interesting
Pra-
question. Thank you.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hmm.
In Goloka, there will be relationships and everything apart from relationship with Krishna.
Yeah, everything is in connection with Krishna only, but then there are husband and wife because there are children. Then there are families. It's just like you should read Krishna book, so then you'll understand what is life in Vrindavan.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
All right. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Stop. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय, स्मरेत गौरभक्ति की जय। हरे कृष्ण।